Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Susie if you're new here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing some thrift store makeovers using Sonnet's Curated Maker's Box. I was so excited when Sonnet contacted me about sharing this with you all. If you're not familiar with it, she has a monthly subscription box and it is full of different things that you can use to make your own items. There are 2 recycled decoupage papers in it, and these are exclusive to Sonnet's box. You can't get them any other way. And there is also 2 rice papers from the Painted Photographer, and I wasn't familiar with her until Sonnet's box, so I looked up Connie, and wow, she has some more talent, and she actually, paints these. And there's a sample of milk paint. This is Sweet Pickins in the color Denim. Sonnet also includes a little gift each month and 2 DIY samples. We have Old 57 in this box and Little Black Dress. And there's 2 fusion samples as well. This one has Wellington and Lichen. As you can see, there's kind of a theme here and a different color scheme. So let's get started with the projects. For project number 1, when I saw that denim milk paint, I immediately remembered these teapot frames, and I knew that I wanted to use this milk paint on those gold frames. Just were not working for me. They were just look cheap. So if you've never used milk paint before, it comes in a powder form. You mix it half and half with water, and then I stir it really good and I let it sit for about 5 minutes if I am patient. Luckily I had plenty to do here, so I let it sit for a little too long and it got pretty thick. Milk paint's real easy to paint with. It goes on so smooth and so easy. It does take a few coats, and milk paint can be a little unpredictable. So if you for sure don't want any chipping and you want a solid finish, you need to add some extra bond or I forget what the fusion's called, but it's Ultra Grip, I think, or something like that. So I got all these painted. I think I did 2 or 3 coats, and now I am going to wet distress. Milk paint is water soluble and can be wet distress, so I'm just using a baby wipe to wipe off any of the excess where there was some chipping and distress it. Bring back just a tad of that gold, and I did not bother taping off the glass because milk paint is water soluble. It's real easy to clean it all up when you're done. And then I just sealed these up with some clear wax and wiped all the excess back, and these turned out so beautiful. Originally when I bought these, I thought that I would put something else in the frame, but I just love the teapots so much and they look so good with this milk paint. I had just enough left over, and Jessie painted that wooden bowl that you see there, and it turned out really cute too. For project number 2, I'm super excited about this one. I had picked up these 2 little nesting tables with the safari animals on them a while back. Sorry, I can't remember where I got them or how much I paid for them, but I am going to be decoupaging one of those exclusive recycled decoupage papers on these. If you are interested in learning more and getting on the list for Sonnet's Maker's Box, I will have an affiliate link in the description of this video, and I would appreciate if you would use that link if you do order the subscription box. I am going to paint the top of both of these in white. This is a darker decoupage paper, so I may not have needed to, but just in case. and I scored it with my fingers, but the paper was so dark I couldn't see where I scored it. So I did come back and score it with my little utility knife, and then I was able to just tear the paper or use my scissors to cut the excess off. And I know y'all have seen me decoupage many times, but I always do it the same way. And I learned this from Sonnet. I do a starter strip, and then I wet my paper, line it up, and then I will take my paintbrush to smooth out all the wrinkles. On a bigger surface like this, you have to be pretty careful, and I luckily did not tear my paper at all on this one. So, and then I just work my way down. I am using the Fusion decoupage and transfer gel. I like it because it's a little thicker. It just seems to be easier on the wrinkles for me. And also wetting the paper helps me with the wrinkles. Some people say that they can't do that it makes them tear the paper. I can't do the cling wrap like everybody else does. But either way, however you want to do it, practice makes perfect. And I used to be terrible at decoupaging, and I think I finally got the hang of it, but I'm still learning, and sometimes I still mess up, as you'll see in the next project. After my decoupage paper was dry, I came back with a little brush, and I used that Little Black Dress, the DIY paint, to go back over the tables. They were black. The legs were all right, but the sides were brown, and they had lots of scratches and stuff in them. So I just freshened up the paint. And the one thing I love about DIY paint is that it can be wet distressed. With the Fusion, having that built-in sealer in it, it's great for so many things, but you have to use sandpaper, and it's pretty hard to distress. So with the DIY paint, you can wet distress it, and that's what I'm going to do once I get all this black. I'm covering all the white and all the brown and the legs and everything with this little bitty sample of the DIY Little Black Dress, and I only used about half of it. So here I am wet distressing. There wasn't a lot to bring back on this because it was black underneath, but there was a little brown, and I wanted to really distress it pretty good. Once I finished wet distressing it, I'm going to go over it with some DIY dark wax. I'm going to go over the paper and everything just to even out the sheen of everything and seal that DIY paint in. I love how these turned out, and I am in love with this decoupage paper. The colors in it, the road signs and everything on it is just perfect. I can see these little tables in a man cave or something like that. They're a little masculine, a little bit dark, and I love them. Okay, project number 3, I was so excited about, but it turned out to be a huge fail that hopefully I can fix. I had this mirrored frame, and I wanted to decoupage like you were looking out a window. So I spray painted all the glass with a flat white just to give it a bright background so the decoupage paper really pops in there. And I'm going to use this old rusty car. And to do this, I scored everything with my utility knife, and then I just kind of was able to rip the paper. It was a little slow starting out with, but then I got pretty good at it, and I only tore messed up the paper a little tiny bit, but that was easy fix. And I did that with all the little window panes. And before we get started decoupaging these on here, I am going to paint the entire frame with that DIY Old 57. It's a perfect color to go with this rusty old car here. I was able to get this frame painted with just that 2 coats, with just that one little sample of Old 57, and this is the first time I'm using this color. I haven't used DIY paint in a long time, but I really do love it, and I feel like there is a need for chalk paint. You can't always depend on an all-in-one paint like I have been with Fusion, so it was nice to be able to work with some high quality chalk paint. Y'all, so here's where I messed up. I had a hard time getting these back in order, and I guess I'm just dumb, or my brain wasn't working. I shouldn't say that. I'm not dumb, but sometimes my brain does not work. I like to call it brain fog. I get a lot of that. I couldn't remember how these were in here. And instead of going back and looking, I thought I had finally figured it out. So I got them all laid out the way that they were supposed to go. There's the bottom of the car, and I knew all these were on the top. And then I went to decoupaging, and the decoupaging went super easy. I didn't even do starter strips. I just put the transfer gel on, laid the papers in, got them lined up, went back over the top of them, and it was so nice. And I still, at this point, do not realize that I don't have the papers in there right. And then to finish off this project, after I got through decoupaging all this paper on, I decided that the Old 57 was just a bit too bright, and I was going dark and moody. You know, this is an old car, and I'm thinking sitting in an old greasy garage. So I took some of that, what was left of the Old 57, and I mixed in a little bit of that little black dress with it, and I just kind of did a wash over the top of the entire window pane. And still, at this point, I'm looking right at it, and I haven't realized that I have one of those papers switched out. They need to be, the two on the left need to be switched out, I think. I've still got to go back and look, and I didn't realize it until I actually went to hang it up. For now, I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to say that this is just some abstract art, which it still looks pretty daggum cool. But I'm going to call it abstract art for right now. I might try to remove the back. It's got like, cardboard on the back. And I might go back and try to remove that and see if I can just take out those window panes on the back and put them where they should be. So it's not a complete fail, and I think that this idea was really cool, and I love how it turned out aside from not being right. What you guys think about this? And in the past, I would have got real mad at myself for this mistake, but mistakes happen. We're only human, and most things can be fixed, and if they can't, it's okay. Project number 4 is actually turned out to be my favorite. I had to use that sunflower that Connie had designed on that rice paper. And I had this cutting board in my stash, and it was pretty much beyond repair. It had lots of scratches in it. But the way that that went around, I thought that that would make a cool artwork frame. So I'm just going to paint the center with a couple of coats of white paint. I can't see, but that's either casement or Victorian lace. Those are my go-to white paints. This rice paper is a little thicker than decoupage paper that I'm used to working with. I've seen a lot of people wet it with a paintbrush and then tear it, but I decided just to go ahead and lay it down, and then I'll see about removing the excess later, since I did have that little lip on my cutting board there. This stuff is so easy to decoupage. Wrinkles are not a problem with this rice paper. So I just put the transfer gel down, and then I just laid it out and did another layer on top. I let it dry, and then after it was completely dry, I'm going to take my little finger sander and go all around that little lip, and then I can just pull the paper off. There were a couple of places that I kind of messed up the paper, but not really bad. But it was pretty easy to remove this excess. But I think in the future, when I'm using rice paper, I will do the tearing method rather than the sanding off method, because I did have to rub pretty hard on this to get all this excess off. See, I pulled up a little bit there, but I just went back over it with some of the decoupage gel that was on my brush, and then continued on sanding and then pulling off that excess. Once I got all the excess off, the Wellington Fusion sample that came in Sonnet's box was a perfect match to all the outlines on that. So I thought that that would be a beautiful way to frame this artwork out. So I painted the entire frame in Wellington, 2 coats, and then I also painted the back, and I put a sawtooth hanger on this, and it turned out so cute. I love sunflowers for the fall. This would have also have been really pretty with that denim milk paint, because the blue in it is almost the same color, but I do love this Wellington. It's like a really dark gray with a hint of green in it, and it went absolutely perfect with this project. After the 2 coats of paint had dried, I did go back in and I distressed the entire thing pretty heavily. I wanted to bring back a lot of that wood from underneath. And then, like I said, I put a sawtooth hanger on this, and this project is done, and I love it. I hope that y'all have enjoyed today's video. I had so much fun using all of the amazing products that Sonnet sent in her maker's box, and I hope that y'all have enjoyed it. If you want to get the information to get on her list, it is in the description of this video. I'll see y'all Wednesday with another video, and then Friday with the live opening the shop. We're almost there, you guys. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for watching.